Saturday will pass, Sunday will go, and Monday will come. And we all will be back in our classes. And like this, a teacher named Mrs. Thompson entered the class for the first time. She had this habit of starting the class by saying, "Love you all." But this time, she knew that she was lying because she could not feel that love for one of the students in the class. This one student was very unkempt, untidy, and there was nothing in that child that drew attention of Mrs. Thompson. She was a little indifferent to the child. She picked him for every negative example and ignored him for all positive reasons. She wrote the progress report for the first quarter, and the school had a system that the headmistress had to countersign every progress report. The headmistress called Mrs. Thompson and said, "Ma'am, a progress report needs to show some progress. It should make the parents feel that their child has a future. But the way you have written the progress report for Teddy will surely make his parents give up on him." Mrs. Thompson immediately replied, "But ma'am, there is nothing I can do. I have nothing positive to write about this child." And Mrs. Thompson left the headmistress' office. The headmistress immediately asked her administrative staff to trace the old progress report of Teddy and send them across to Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson started going through Teddy's reports, the third standards progress report, and in that it was written in the final remarks that Teddy is the brightest child in the class. Mrs. Thompson was stunned by what she read. She saw the fourth standard progress report, and all the remarks progressively suggested that Teddy's mother was suffering from cancer and was not able to give the attention to Teddy that she used to, and it started to show up on Teddy's performance. Then Mrs. Thompson started reading fifth standard report. Teddy has lost his mother and himself along. He desperately needs help, otherwise we will lose this child. By then, there were tears in the eyes of Mrs. Thompson. Immediately, Mrs. Thompson got up and went to the headmistress and said, "Ma'am, I know what to do." She went back to the class. Probably it was Monday morning. She walked into the class and again from the dais looked at the class and said, "Love you all." But she knew she was lying. The love she felt for Teddy at that moment was far greater than the rest of the class. She decided then and there that she would change her approach, and from then on, for every positive reason, Teddy's name was called. It was the last day of the school year. All the children brought some gifts for the teachers. There was only one gift, which was wrapped in an old newspaper. Somehow the teacher sensed that it must be from Teddy, and she opened it first. A half-used perfume bottle and a bracelet from which a few stones had fallen off were there. The whole class laughed. They knew it was from Teddy. Without saying anything, Mrs. Thompson just took that half-used perfume bottle, sprayed it on herself, and wore the bracelet. With a quiet smile, Teddy said, "Now you are smelling like my mother. This is the last perfume that she used before she left me, and this bracelet was removed from her body when she was placed into the coffin." 1 year later, at the end of the school year, there was a letter on Mrs. Thompson's table. "I have seen a few more teachers, but you are still the best teacher I have ever seen. With love, Teddy." Every year at the end of season, Mrs. Thompson got this letter from Teddy. "Seen a few more teachers, but you are the best teacher I have ever seen. With love, Teddy." Years rolled by and they lost contact. Many years later, Mrs. Thompson received a letter.
Letter was signed by Dr. Theodore, PhD.
Daddy had gone on to become a PhD. The letter read, I have seen many more people in life. Mrs. Thompson, this is your daddy. You are still the best teacher I have ever seen. I'm getting married and I cannot dream of doing it without your presence. And along the letter was enclosed a to and fro ticket for the venue. Mrs. Thompson could not resist. She did not have the perfume bottle with her anymore, but she still had the bracelet, and she wore it to the marriage. When she reached the church, she tried to find a place for herself in the last row, but a volunteer recognized her and ushered her right to the front row. And friends, right there in the front, there was a seat with the placard written, Mother.
Mr. Theodore personally came up to her and whispered in her ear,
You are closest to my mother that I have ever experienced. And whatever I am today is all because of you.
After the ceremony, Mr. Theodore introduced Mrs. Thompson to his newly wedded wife.
Dear, without her, I wouldn't be whatever I am today. And there were tears in his eyes. Then Mrs. Thompson told the newly wedded woman, Dear, without Daddy, I would have never realized that teacher must first become a mother to every student of hers and only then a teacher.
Dear teachers, there may be a Teddy sitting in your class too. Whenever we go to our class next time, we have to keep an eye out so that we don't ignore any Teddy in our class. So the next time, or for the matter, any Monday, when you go to your class, please don't go back as only a teacher. Go back as a parent who can also be a teacher. Be a turning point in the life of every student. Happy Teachers' Day to everyone. Thank you so much.
This is Shell's Corner. Thanks for watching. Keep spreading happiness and smile 24 hours.